if it's all pre-prepared, maybe in the lesson you have interesting questions, interesting perspectives, contributions, and also maybe I put things in a different way, and we can really base things on the lesson. So if you do a homework on the lesson, you can really got a reference. So I'm gonna try, not a lot because it takes time, but Article 4. So we're going to do Article 4. It starts like this. The Republic recognises the right of all citizens. Wait there, this is in English. I've got the wrong. Right. We are now wasting video time. So, who wants to read? Okay, read.
Allora, la Repubblica riconosce a tutti i cittadini il diritto al lavoro e propone...
Okay, stop there, because that is very interesting. That is very interesting. It says recognise. Why does it recognise? Why not establishes the right of all citizens?
Sono inalienabili.
Sorry?
Because they are inalienable.
Inalienable, yes. They're an inalienable right, they're a natural right, they're pre-states. Work is part of us. That's what it's saying. Work is part of us, and the state should recognise this. But we see in Article 2, it said inalienable human rights guarantees and recognised. If we have a look, just have a quick look. It says la Repubblica riconosce e garantisce I diritti inviolabili. Perché qua è solo riconosce, non garantisce? Perché? I mean, it's part of us.
Possiamo scegliere se lavorare o no?
No, abbiamo anche un dovere. Più tardi dice che ha il dovere. So,
beh, semplicemente perché non è lo Stato che ti fornisce il posto di lavoro, ma sei tu che lo devi cercare.
Yes. Okay. If it guaranteed, that means we would have a planned economy. You cannot have a free economy, a free market. Free market means you have datori di lavoro that can sack you. Yeah, you couldn't have people being sacked if there aren't any other jobs available if they're guaranteed. The only way for a state to guarantee us work is to employ us, which means it's a planned economy, which means there's no freedom. Okay, there's no freedom in a planned economy. If the government decides what to produce, where, how to produce, and to whom to produce for, bang goes all our choices. Yeah, we just wait for the government to say what we do, where we live, what we can eat. Yes, so we want a free economy, there's no guarantee. That's very important. So it recognises, but it doesn't guarantee, il diritto al lavoro e promuove le condizioni che rendono effettivo questo diritto. So what's it saying that the state must do instead of guaranteeing? Promoting work, yes, promoting work. So that means we've got a mixed economy. This article actually is introducing us to a mixed economy because the government must intervene, must roll its sleeves up, and it must say, right, we're going to try and stimulate the economy, we're going to spend a bit of money because people are getting unemployed. Remember, the President of the Republic exists to guarantee this constitution, and if he sees too many people, and this has happened, unemployed, he will talk to the Prime Minister and say, look, we can't have this. Everyone's got a right to work. Why? You're going to have to do, you're going to have an industrial policy. That's what Napolitano said to Berlusconi. He said, where's your industrial policy? Because there's too many young people unemployed. So from this we can see the mixed economy, and we can also see a big difference in the English way of looking at things. For England, work isn't a right. Work is what you earn, yes, you get from your merit. If you're good enough, you get a job. If you haven't got a job, then you've got to go back to school, get a trade, look for opportunities. Your responsibility to find a job. You don't have to. Remember, we're very liberal. If you don't want, you go unemployed for all your life. Fair enough. And it happens in England, where people are unemployed their whole life, living off the state, different ways. But there's no real right or dovere. There's no duty to work. I mean, we've got to remember the most privileged people in England, the Queen, they're not workers, they're not considered workers. In England, we still have this idea. Remember, there's no interruption to the royalty, the system of monarchy. There's still this idea of landowners and workers. People who own the resources, the means of production, and people that are employed to work and roll their sleeves up. So we don't really have this idea of duty to work. If you're lucky enough to be the idle classes, then you don't work. You just live off the profit for owning the means of production, maybe land, maybe houses. I know lots of people become rich in England just from owning houses and getting rent. Very difficult in Italy, this. Your system is not geared to it's got a very progressive system, tax system, and it's geared at really recognising effort. So we do see work very different in England. In Italy, remember, work is to integrate into society. How do we know that? Well, we know that. For example, the last part that says, choose a work che concorra al progresso materiale o spirituale della società. So it's really to integrate us. That's the purpose of work, to integrate into society. We've all got a common objective, which is the material and spiritual progress of the Italian society. In England, work is to liberate us, to make us more independent. If you work hard, you become independent. You own your own house, you maybe become a landowner yourself, the means of production, you can relax. That's our idea of work, liberating us. So there is a little bit of a cultural difference there too. We even see work in Italy, you see work as being not just what you do to earn a living, to eat, but it's a kind of universal idea, definition. This idea of it being part of us to work. So it's not, we're not just talking about what we do for a living. Also, work could be helping your kids study, or you know, doing things for your family, or for your neighbours, or your parents. In Article 3, it talks about the effective, so the state must remove obstacles to help people participate. All the workers participate all'organizzazione politica, economica e sociale del paese. All the workers, so we're all workers, not just those with a job, but we're all workers, all participating in the political, economic and social organisation of the place. So I think we kind of leave this definition of work just being to make money and start seeing work as just helping organise this Italy, which could be just what you're doing. You're workers now, working, you're learning, preparing for a job, and that's part of work too. So we definitely don't see everybody as a worker in England. We really have this idea of difference between the upper classes and the workers. We still have that assumption that's continued, all the way through our history, which was interrupted by your constitution. That before your constitution, I imagine with your royalty, you'd had this idea of workers and ruling class. True? I imagine. So, but it's not just, you've got to remember, it's not just a right to work, there's also a duty. One of the duties written in the Constitution is to work. It says, ogni cittadino ha il dovere di svolgere secondo la propria possibilità e la propria scelta un'attività o una funzione che concorre al progresso materiale o spirituale della società. This really brings us together. It's a duty, like solidarity. Solidarity was a duty, no? Era un dovere, having a solidarietà. And work is kind of concrete solidarity, isn't it? It's making Italy very solid. If you're all working towards the same objective, we can see it. As we can see in your founding fathers' mentality that this was a way of Italy becoming really solidifying as a community, coming together towards one objective, pulling together. So it's another duty, but also in the same light as solidarity. Any questions? Any different ideas or comments? What do you think?
Professore, io devo uscire perché sono...
Okay. I think bye. This was very important. This was very important for the founding fathers to show Italy as a social place, as a kind of social state, not a liberal state. It is a value. Remember, you've got the values of a much more liberal state, which is property, the freedom to own property. And then the values of a much more social state is work, which is very integrating into society. And this was a sign, a signal by the founding fathers that they wanted that aspect. They had the liberal, more liberal values in Article 2 when you talk about the inviolable rights of man. But this was so. This really closes. This really closes the big perspective of what Italy is, and then we go into Article 5, where we look a bit more at how we're structured in terms of power. And no, the start of Article 5 is very big look. It's a very global look, because it says Italia è una indivisibile, but then it talks about the autonomy of the local entities. So we're looking more about the structures. Okay. Any got any experiences in England? We can turn that off now, I think.